Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Good morning, good evening, anything, wherever, what time it is for you. It's morning for us still, just barely, but it
Just
is.
barely. Yeah,
Though I feel like it could
welcome.
be the afternoon already. It's been a busy morning.
Yeah, might as well be at this point. So I think we're both gonna hop on to lunch afterwards. So it might as well be afternoon. But
Sure.
yeah, so it looks like we've got quite a few participants already. So if everybody wants to say hi in the chats, just to let us know you can hear us, you can see us. We see some familiar names here in the list. So if you're joining us for the first time, welcome.
I see the hellos coming in. Actually, I guess interesting thing would be how many is it your first webinar joining us? Because we've been doing these for quite a while now, try and do at least one a month kind of thing. So curious to see who's either new to inFlow or new to our webinars and stuff.
Ooh,
Chris said it's his first. Misty's first one too. Another Chris Borg, Dustin.
all
Cool.
right. I
I'm
I
guessing
don't know what.
NTW is new to
Yeah,
webinar, like the
cool.
acronyms. Yes, looks like we got a whole bunch of first times, which is really cool. Nice to see everyone. Thank you for coming and joining.
Yeah. And if for those who are new here, I'm Dani. Um, I'm on the onboarding team. You might have chatted with me in the past while I was on the support team. Um, yeah, that's me.
And I am Phil or Philip. I am on the support team, so I am usually lurking around in chat. So if you come in and get support for chats, it's usually going to be me, or I will do respond to tickets and phone calls and stuff as well too. Always try and do our best to get back to you as fast as possible. So yeah,
Yeah.
nice to see
And
you all.
yeah, so today's webinar is going to be just a Q&A session. Usually, because there are a lot of new visitors today, we do webinars monthly, usually, and they'll generally have a specific topic that we go over. But because it's the new year, we wanted to do a bit of an open-ended webinar where we're going to ask you guys to ask us questions, and we'll do our best to answer them during this webinar. If we can't answer them because we don't know the answers all the time, we'll do our best to reach out um, offline. Or what might be the better way to do it is you can always reach out to our support team on our website. There is a contact page, and you can reach out over live chat for the quickest assistance. So let's leave it at that then. And if anyone has questions, we're going to be monitoring the chats. So we'll do our best to make sure we don't skip your question. But if you'd like to go ahead, we can take your questions now.
Yep.
So we'll
And
give it a few moments.
yeah, and just to kind of preface, I don't, at least this is my first one. I don't think we've done like a just an open Q&A like this one style before. As Dani was saying, we do usually have like a specific topic, so we're kind of testing it out. So hopefully, again, everybody came with a question. Hopefully, not too difficult, but, but yeah, we'll do our best to get back and see what we can come up with. Oh, and I see one coming in already from. Sorry if I mispronounce any names or anything like that, but Kagerwell. How do we integrate with QuickBooks?
Ooh, that is a really great question. So we do actually have a dedicated webinar on the QBO integration that goes over how you're going to set up the integrations, the sort of information that you're going to need. There are going to be accounts that you're going to need to map from inFlow to QBO. And that webinar does go over the entire workflow. So it'll show you how a sales order that's created in inFlow gets pushed to QBO, as well as purchase orders as well. I would recommend checking that out. Actually, maybe Phil, if you've got a chance, I know you're probably already on it, but we'll link down that specific webinar. But the way that you're going to set up the QBO integration is just from your settings. So sorry, your integration settings. That's where you're going to start, and that's always on the web app. I'll just quickly share my screen so I can show you. I won't go into detail too much because we do have a great knowledge base article that's going to take you through all the steps on integrating. So let me go ahead and just open up the web app for you guys so I can show you where your integration settings live
I'm
in
still seeing the
inFlow.
slides, Dani.
Oh, yes. All right, let's do this real quick.
I'm just
Maybe
writing down. So I did send the link in there. So we do. That's the link directly to the YouTube video of the webinar. Just so you can reference that as well.
yes,
I'm
I
just
would
copying down.
definitely recommend taking a look at that webinar because it goes into detail about how to integrate. So I guess it's not a great answer here for you, but what I would also suggest is I'm just taking us to our website right now because there are a lot of new people here. So this is a bit of a recap of how you can find help, especially if there is a topic or a feature that you're looking to find more information about, especially steps, how to set something up. Always start with our knowledge base because it's going to give you detailed steps. And so just on our website, inflowinventory.com, you'll go to the support menu item here, and you'll see the knowledge base just up here, the first option. And then in our knowledge base, you'll be able to search for practically any feature that we have available. So QuickBooks, for example, we have a lot of, or we have a main article here connecting inFlow to QuickBooks. And yes, Phil did just link down there this knowledge base article in the chat, but it'll take you through all of the setup steps. It's quite detailed, so if you care to learn a bit more about how it works, and the webinar is also at the bottom here as well, so just an easy way to get to it. I would say start there. If you run into any troubles, you can always reach out to our support team and they'll be able to help there. But yeah, the QuickBooks integration, it will save you from having to do double entry in inFlow and QuickBooks. So the way that it works is so long as you have it connected, whenever you create a purchase order or a sales order in inFlow, those can be pushed to QuickBooks Online so that you don't have to recreate those in QBO. More details in the article there. So I'll leave it at that. Hopefully this will get you started on the integration, but do reach out to us if you've got specific questions about it or run into any trouble.
Sure, that's fantastic. So the next question we had in here, we got a question from Chris Borg. Is there a way to search for keywords instead of using the drop-down menus for each criteria? So I guess one thing that we should clarify or double check with or anything is that with inFlow Cloud, there's kind of multiple ways that you can access your information. So what Dani's showing right now on the screen, this is what we call the web app. Basically, this is, you go to this link, app.inflowinventory.com, in any browser, so on any computer, it can be PC or Mac or Linux or anything like that, and then you can actually log in with your cloud account and access things like your sales orders, your inventory, your purchase orders, your reports, all that right away. We do also have a companion Windows-only desktop program, which I believe is most likely what you're probably talking about here, because that is kind of like that's what we started with, so it's a little bit of an older style system, in which sense where, yes, to do like an advanced search, if you wanted to search by like description, excuse me, sorry, if you wanted to search by description, or if you wanted to search by like any of the other fields like category and different things like that, you have to click like advanced search and then find them, or as Dani's showing here, if you're in like here, you can search by like filters. So depending which way you're doing it, unfortunately at the moment with the Windows desktop program, yes, you do have to use the different either drop downs or filters to search for most things if you're in like a sales order or something like that. The web app and the mobile app, because they are newer, do have what we call like a smart search functionality, in which case if you're on like a sales order, you can start typing in like the description of a product rather than the actual like name or SKU of it, and it'll search by that as well. So the web app and the mobile app do have a little bit more functionality in that sense.
Yeah, where you're not needing to filter out specifically or using the filters. So hopefully that helps answer the question. Let us know if we've misunderstood. But
No,
yeah.
I see a thank you in there from him, so I think that was it. So cool. The next one we had in there was from again, sorry if I mispronounced Vimal, or it says, "Hi, we have multiple vendors for each product, and they sell in different units of measurement. How can we add multiple units of measurement for purchases and sales so that we can choose the unit of measurement according to the vendor or customer?"
That's a great question. So more like a feature request, because right now you can only set one unit of measure per, sorry, I guess one set of units of measure per product, and it's not per vendor. So what I mean by that, so if you're not familiar with the units of measure, I'm just going to demo off of the Windows app, or I guess we could also do the web app. Anyway, you can find these in all three apps of inFlow, but if your vendor sells you products in a different unit than what you sell to your customers, then you can actually tell inFlow what those units are so that inFlow can make those conversions for you automatically based on what you're doing in the system. For example, when you're purchasing the item versus when you're selling the item. So just as a demo here, a good example of this is, or one that we probably all can relate to, is cans of let's say pop or Coke or something like that. I'll do soda in this case. So you might be selling soda to your customers, but your vendor sells it to you in cases of, let's say, 12, but you sell individual units to your customers. So what you can do is set up the units of measure. So in the Windows app, you'll find the units of measure in the extra info tab of the product record. On the web app, you'll find this just in the product record here. So it's going to open up a random product here. And if you scroll down to the bottom here, you'll find the units of measure just down here. So just now you can update the units of measure in both apps. I'm just going to go back to the Windows app here because it's a bit more compact. So I've created a product called soda. If you go into the extra info tab here, you'll find the units of measure. So the standard unit of measure is the unit of measure that you're most interested in tracking or what you store the product in. So, for example, if you sell your products in just individual units, you might put in this case, it's a soda can, so I'll just put in can as my standard unit of measure. And if your standard and sales unit of measure are the same, you only need to enter one of these units here. But if your purchasing unit of measure is different from any of these two, you're going to have to specify that. So for example, if our vendor sells us this product in cases, we're going to set the purchasing unit of measure to case. And then we're going to have to tell inFlow what the conversion should be. So one case equals, let's say, 12 cans. So that way, when we save this, inFlow will automatically know to create a purchase order for cases rather than for the individual standard unit of measure of cans. And on the other hand, if you're selling the item, inFlow will use your standard unit of measure to sell to your customers. The rule of thumb here is if your sales unit of measure, standard unit of measure matches either your sales unit of measure or your purchasing unit of measure, you only need to fill in one of the two. It'll be the same. But what the question was is it possible to set a unit of measure per vendor? So maybe I've got a vendor who sells one case, but 24 cans. Unfortunately, you can only set one set of unit of measure. So I could only say that one case has 12 cans. The workaround here, and it might not be a great workaround depending on your workflow, would be to create separate product records for each of different vendors' products. But what that means is that you're now keeping two separate products that are the exact same product. So it might not work. But yeah, great question. More of a feature request, which we'll take down and we'll upvote that on your behalf. But right now it's not possible.
Thank you very much. That's yeah. Again, we appreciate any comments and feedback and suggestions as well too. We can definitely write them all down and submit them, and then our team each quarter kind of thing goes through all the feedback and tries to figure out what features would benefit the community and our customers the most. So they definitely do take all that kind of feedback into account. So thank you. Rochelle had a question saying, when there is a refund, why does inFlow push refund on QuickBooks the same date of order instead of the refund date? That we may need to go back and do some actual investigation with. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure. I'm not, unless you are, Dani. And so, I mean, if you want to drop your email, actually, I think I can get it from the webinar, sorry, here, and we can definitely try and reach out to you back about that. We'll have to investigate that a little bit. I'm not sure off the top of my head, just because we don't use like QuickBooks every day or anything like that. Excuse me. Or you can always definitely send us an email at support@inflowinventory.com, and that way we'll for sure have your ticket there and everything, and we can look into it for you.
Yeah, some of these questions we might not know the answer to, so I would, if we don't reach out to you, reach out to us for sure.
Yep.
That would be.
But I do have it. I do have it written down here with everyone's names. So as I said, if you did register with your email address in the webinar, I should be able to get it from there. But otherwise, yeah, support@inflowinventory.com for sure. You can always send us any questions or anything like that as well. So we'll move on to the next one for right now. Sydney had asked, I want to know, when will we be able to delete a product and not just deactivate it? So again, this is kind of almost like more of like a feature request. inFlow was designed to keep everything, to not allow you to actually delete items like that, so that you're keeping the actual history of your products. Everything in inFlow is done by dates, essentially. So your inventory levels, your costs for your products, everything like that is actually calculated from when you first added the product into the system, and then it keeps track of that inventory as well as the costs and the prices and everything like that all throughout that, so historically. So essentially we deactivate things instead of deleting them, so that way you still have that history, and past orders and things like that won't be affected. If you were to actually delete something like permanently, then it's going to affect a lot more things in the system. So currently, as far as I know, there isn't plans to add like an actual fully delete feature or anything. Again, we can submit it as a feature request, but that's kind of the reasoning why we don't have something like that right now.
And I do see the next question here from Jason. Great delivery here. Will spelling autocorrect be added to the platform? Great question. Great delivery. You know what? I don't know if we've ever had that as a feature request. I think because of how different product names can be, it's probably not something that would be added. I guess I'm not sure where else you might expect autocorrect other than the product name. But yeah, I'm assuming that it's probably not a feature that can be added, and because of different language supports and all of that. But it's a great feature, and maybe if you have a chance to reach out to us with some more context about how that might help, that would be helpful as well. If it's, for example, if it's product name related, that might give us a better idea of how that might be. We might be able to create a feature that could be more helpful for more people. But good question, and that did make me smile. So wonderful. And then
I do see he added also in the text fields of like a message or when producing an email. So those would be kind of,
Mm,
I guess, places where it would be beneficial. So we could definitely include that in the feedback for sure.
yeah. And I wonder, so in the future, because we are moving to be more web-based, so as you guys know, our mobile, or sorry, our web and mobile apps actually are being actively developed, and we're adding features all the time. So who knows in the future, if you're making those emails on the browser, there might already be some browser extensions or autocorrect already there. So it might be something to look forward to.
Sure. So the next one I see, Michael had asked, do we have any expectations of higher end integrations with accounting software that has comprehensive functionality? I'm not sure if you had any specific in mind or any specific features, I guess, that in mind. We did just recently add Xero as our second accounting software integration. So we've got QuickBooks Online as well as Xero now. So again, depending on what you're looking for, we can certainly take that back to the team.
Yeah, I'm guessing it might be two-way integrations because we do get requests for that where currently our accounting integrations are one way. So data gets pushed from inFlow to your accounting program, so QBO or Xero. But any changes you make to those um, transactions on the QBO or Xero side do not get pushed back. So I'm thinking it might be related to that, but definitely has been requested before, so we can upvote that as well.
Um, I see Chris Floyd had asked, is it possible to do a master deletion in cloud? Example, deleting all POs permanently versus exporting and re-importing. So this is kind of related to the other question. So again, we don't allow like full deleting. You can with inFlow Cloud reset your database. However, this is going to reset everything. So unfortunately, you can't choose like only your purchase orders. It's going to wipe everything, and then you could literally start from fresh or start from scratch again, which I can grab. We do have a knowledge base article for that, and I can post that in here. But yeah, so unfortunately, there's no way of doing just only like a single area of um, resetting like your information.
Yeah. But if you did want to reset your entire database and start fresh, that'll be in the web app. And just as a quick tip, if you're ever working in our Windows app and you want to quickly get to our web app, you can just go to the main menu and then options. And then you can click any one of these three options that have that little icon there, and it'll take you to our web app and open it up into that specific page. But where you want to be is the company settings. So that'll be your name in the top right, company, and then if you scroll down to the very bottom, you'll see this a bit of a scary setting here where you can reset data, but it should be scary because as Phil mentioned, this will reset everything and you can't undo this. So if you did want to reset your data, we do have that option available.
Yeah, and just to make it a little scary, you even have to like type in like a confirmation to make sure, so you don't by accident click it and then suddenly it gets done or anything like that. So um,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, again, one thing we have had a lot of people do if they did really need to clean up a bunch of their stuff, you can. It's a bit of an involved process. You can go in your current stuff, go export as much information as you can, like your products, your stock levels, your sales orders, your purchase orders, any of that into CSV files, so Excel files. That you could then reset your database, so wipe everything, and then only import back what you needed. Um, there are drawbacks to that because you can't export everything, unfortunately. So things like images, I don't believe get exported. Certain things like your work orders and stuff like that don't too. So again, there are kind of some drawbacks to it, but if you really needed to kind of clear out some stuff or clean it up, then that is kind of like an option that you can do as well.
Yes. And actually, just to touch on product image export, so that's new. So we can actually export product images, which is great. Just know that they get exported as a URL. So you'll need to, you might be able to export that URL, but you'll need to then somehow mass download those. But there should be programs out there, third-party software that can quickly scrape URLs and download those pictures.
For sure.
But yeah, those are some really good questions.
Cool. So the next question, so we do have a bunch of them in here. I don't know if we're going to be able to get to all of them, but we will do our best. So Sydney had a question, will there be an Apple desktop app? Excuse me, sorry. We're not actually currently planning on building an Apple desktop version of it. We are actually, I guess this year's big focus, I believe, is bringing the majority of the features that are missing from our web application missing features from our Windows application to our web application. So things like the like count sheets and your I guess different inventory views, your work orders, all that kind of stuff. That is something that they are actually planning on working on this year, bringing it all over, so that essentially the web app will have everything, and that web app can work on Windows, again, Linux, it can work on Apple, it can work on a tablet, on a full computer, it can work pretty much anywhere. So hopefully kind of unifying everything so that pretty much everything can be done absolutely anywhere on any platform that you're on. So stay tuned for that. And again, hopefully we'll have some big updates this year on that.
Yes. Yeah, some big features coming to the web app. It's exciting. It looks like the next question here from Cornelia is there a setting that allows an invoice to be automatically be sent when created?
So we don't have a feature in inFlow that'll let you do this, but we do actually have an integration with a company called Zapier. And through that, you can actually set up, so we do have like a trigger that basically whenever a sales order is created, Zapier can then take a bit of information, so something like the invoice information, the customer, the email, like any of that kind of stuff, and you can hook it up with Gmail, you can hook it up with Outlook, you can, essentially Zapier is kind of a way of connecting two different programs and executing a task with it. So it does involve learning how to use that a little bit kind of thing, but there's no programming or anything like that. It's literally just using Zapier, what they call Zaps. So technically it is possible to do that just through that integration.
Yes, and I've posted the link to the knowledge base article that I believe Phil actually wrote. So there'll be steps there on how to set up the Zapier integration. It's really straightforward. I could do it. So if I can do it, anyone can do it. So I'd give that a try. And I believe there is a free version of Zapier. At least it gives you a free amount of Zaps that you can test with.
Yep, for sure. So the free edition, basically, you can do it's a limited number of Zaps, and I think it only checks every like 10 or 15 minutes or something like that, rather than like every minute or like instantly kind of thing. But for most cases, if an invoice gets sent out 10 minutes later or something like that, usually it shouldn't be the end of the world or anything like that. So yeah, definitely take a look into that, and that can hopefully work for you for there.
That's a great feature request, just to be able to quickly send out invoices just a bit faster than how it is currently set up. So great questions there.
So the next one was from Jim. Is there a character limit for the remarks section found in the extra info? While Dani was going through some of the other stuff, I was copying and pasting crazy amounts of text into it. I could not find, and it would not error. It would not give me a limit or anything like that. So there must be a character limit at some point, kind of thing, but it must be something really, really high.
Talking about this remark section here in the product record. So if you in the web app, it shows up here, and then and actually in the desktop app, there are you guys are probably very familiar with all the tabs, which people love or hate, maybe, I don't know, but at the bottom here we've got the extra info tab, and that's where the remarks section lives. So if you needed to add any extra info to your products. Okay, so next question.
Chris had asked if we could please move away from a Facebook group for a community forum to something more professional, like other companies. So I know the community through Facebook was actually kind of like a little project of yours, Dani. And I know in the past we've tried other things too, which never seemed to catch on. So I don't know if you want to speak about it a little bit, or.
Yeah, that's a really, really great question. And we actually did start with our own community that was integrated into our own website, but it didn't catch on. And we sat down and we thought about what is the best way to get people engaged and make it easier for people to engage together and ask each other questions. And Facebook just was a natural sort of option. So we did have community, and then sort of we did have to weigh out the different pros and cons, but because of course if you don't use Facebook, you're probably not going to be on our community. So it might be something we can do in the future, though, for sure, especially as we grow. We might be able to get a full-fledged community, an engaged community on our website. But great question, good feedback that we will take down. And if you're not familiar, we do have a Facebook group for those who haven't joined yet. It's got almost 1,000 members, other inFlow users who it's pretty active as far as I know. We get questions there. The support team does monitor it. We do hope that it's a bit more community led. So if you know the answer to one of those questions that gets posted, please go ahead and answer and help your fellow inFlow users. And of course, we'll be monitoring it just to make sure that those answers look good. We're not judging. We actually really appreciate it, and we notice it. So yeah, that's the Facebook community that we hope you can join. All right, and it looks like Cornelia has the next question.
Sure.
When creating a sales by product summary report, it shows all products, including the ones never sold. Is there an option that allows us to exclude products never sold?
Unfortunately, no. I don't know if you want to pull up the report on there. There isn't an option to exclude them that way. I would say probably the best thing that you could do, or to make it easiest, if you are getting like a lot of kind of extra information there, you could export the report to like Excel or something, and then through Excel you'd actually be able to kind of filter out ones that don't have like a value in those different columns or anything like that. But that is another great thing that we'll take down as feedback as well, because I know in the future we are planning on revamping how the reports work as well too. So that would definitely be something helpful. I can for sure see.
Yes, and yeah, what you can do just so everyone knows, you can export reports, as Phil mentioned, to Excel. So you'll do is you'll click on Save As at the very top. It'll be the same thing off of the web app, except it's a bit more straightforward with the web app, because it downloads the report as a CSV file type, and that's the one that you want to download or save the report as. So when you're saving a report, you're going to make sure that you save it not as a PDF, because you actually want to be able to work with the data, but you're going to select CSV file, not one of these Excel ones, which makes intuitive sense. But what we're going to do is have you save it as a CSV file, because the data it's still raw data, but you also get the column headers. Makes it a lot easier to work with. But yeah, just know if the reports aren't giving you the information that you need, you might be able to export it and modify the data in Excel a bit further. But great questions.
Cool. So it looked like Eric had the next question, was saying, is inFlow an appropriate solution for manufacturers like OEM, or is it primarily designed for retailers? And I do believe he had kind of followed up on it, saying he wonders if it's possible to use the software to track inventory of parts used in manufacturing. Like when an employee uses a part off the shelf, the system will remove it from inventory because it's no longer available.
That's a great question. So inFlow wasn't designed for any specific industry. It's sort of a great product and checks off most boxes for most industries. And if you've ever talked to one of us in support or on onboarding, we might have told you about a workflow or a workaround to have inFlow work better for your particular workflow. We do have a dedicated work order and bill of materials feature. So if you are a manufacturer and you do want to keep track of finished products as you build them, as well as the components that go into those finished products, we do have that available. And there is a webinar on specifically for work orders that goes through the very basics of it. And I would suggest checking that out because you'll get a good sense of the robustness of the manufacturing features. We are not primarily a manufacturing software. So if you look at one of those that are dedicated manufacturing software, you're going to find a lot more robustness and more features and even scheduling and work order or manufacturing scheduling and process tracking and all of that. We don't have that, but you can use inFlow to keep track of, like I said, the finished products that you build and the components that go into that. So really the inventory component of manufacturing. And I'll say, please feel free to start a free trial if you wanted to try out the work order feature and see if it'll check off those boxes. You can always also talk to sales and they'll be able to demo that feature for you. But really inFlow is good for most retailers. Let me just say it's a great solution for most industries. And we do have some manufacturing features that are very powerful, but might not be as robust as some more dedicated programs out there. So I would say give it a try, and then of course reach out to the sales team or support, and we'll be able to answer more questions about that if there's specific features that you're looking for. But also check out the webinar if you don't want to go through the hassle of testing things out, because there's a whole demo on it.
And that is kind of, again, one of the things that right now is just in the Windows program, but hopefully will be moved over to the web app in the near future as well too. So yeah. So the next one we had was we want to export all details of sales order, including quantity and product items, in one report from start to till date. So it might be till today kind of thing. I tried from report section but could not find any. So exporting all details of a sales order, including the quantity and product items, in one report.
That's a good question. Yeah.
Well, so one thing that actually again, a report might be able to get this for you, but in this kind of a scenario, you could also export just your sales orders to a CSV file, which might be more useful in this situation, because that will give you literally an Excel file that has every product line. It'll have the prices, it'll have the customer information, all that in like an Excel file that you can modify. And again, that you wouldn't even find under the reports. That's just exporting the data.
Yeah, so that would be if you go to the main menu, general export data. And if you're ever in doubt of how to export from inFlow, just go into our knowledge base and search for export, and you'll get the guide. But you can, like Phil mentioned, export all of your sales orders of all time into a CSV file. And it'll list out every single product on each of those sales orders on each line. So I'm not sure if I've got a good example of an export, but just so that you guys can see. I'm just going to export all of my sales orders into a spreadsheet here, just so that you guys can get an idea. But with this sales report, so while that opens up, when you're using a report in inFlow, I'm just going to open up the sales by product summary report. what you'll typically see if you've never used or ran a report before is you'll see something like this. You'll have the filters on the side up here. But what you want to do is click on this more here, and this will show you all of the settings that you can apply to the report so that it gives you the data that you're looking for in the format that you're looking for. So what I mean by that is if you're running a sales by product summary report and you're curious to see what sort of data can be generated in this report, you'll want to look into this columns drop down, and you're going to get every single column that's available to generate for this report. So in this particular report, this is the data that it can generate. So for example, if you're looking for the sold quantity, how many of a specific product you've sold on that sales order, you want to make sure that that sold quantity is checked off as a column so that it can get generated on the report. Each report's going to have different data that it can generate. So if we go into the sales by product details report instead, and we go into more, and then we click into the columns drop down, this one's going to have a lot more data that it can pull. So the first place you want to look to see if a report can generate the data you're looking for is in this columns drop down, and just make sure you have it checked off. And with that in mind, if you don't see the data that you're looking for, so for example, if you want to export, I'm not sure, a specific value, and it's not in here, it's not possible to actually export with this report. You might also run into an issue where you'll find what you're looking for in one report, but not everything, and everything else is going to be in a second report. So what you're going to need to do is, unfortunately, run both of those reports and then export them to Excel and then play with the data there. But that's basically how the reports work in inFlow. This columns dropdown is going to be your best friend when it comes to figuring out if the report is right for you. But just getting back to what Phil mentioned is you can export all of your sales orders into a CSV file instead, and this is what it'll look like. So it looks very overwhelming, but it's got all of the data. So for example, we can see here sales order 1. All of these lines have to do with sales order 1, and it's broken up by product. So each product on that sales order is going to be one line. So this sales order had 5 items on it, and you'll get all of your customer information, all of the product information that's on that order. So there's the product name here, for example. So this could be one way to do what you're looking to do.
Perfect. The only thing, I don't know if you have the web app handy as well, if you want to just
Yes.
open up the reports, is her tip on the more section is fantastic, and definitely do recommend doing that. And the web app, it's a little bit different because it's a little icon in the top left. But
That's
you
right.
can do the same kind of thing. So I know it may not be immediately apparent. So yeah, it's actually just this little icon here on the top left-hand side. You click on that, and that'll again show you, just like that more section, all the different columns that can be shown on that report itself.
Yeah, great, good point. Is that the report section does look quite different between the two apps, but most of the features that you're used to on the Windows app will be in the web app as well. But it'll be this is your go-to button here is this one here.
Yep, perfect. So the next question was from Dan. We need to do inventory this week. How do I print out a hard copy so my staff can start counting? Then we want to go over it with a scanner.
Sounds like mobile count sheets. Maybe, I'm not sure. I'm pushing for mobile count sheets, so might be a bit biased here. So that's a really good question. Should be coming soon, hopefully. So if you're able to use our Windows app and you're doing a physical count, we actually have a dedicated feature for physical counts. They're called count sheets in inFlow. So you're probably familiar with that term, count, physical cycle count sheet. It's just in the main menu, and then inventory, and then count sheet. Again, if you haven't used this feature before, we have steps on how to start and complete a count sheet on our knowledge base. But essentially what it allows you to do is add products that you'd like to count. And generally, best practice is if you have a very big inventory with many items, what you'll probably want to do is break up your counts into smaller sections. And this is especially important in inFlow because when you start a count sheet, you need to stop all inventory movement. So that means once you start counting in inFlow, you shouldn't be making any sales orders, any purchase orders, any stock transfers, any stock adjustments until that count is done. And that's just the way that it's just best practice. So while you're counting, you're physically counting inventory, you shouldn't be removing inventory and selling it because your count's going to be off. So if you do have a lot of inventory to count, best to break it up into smaller sections. And we help with that with this add products by button. So you can add products by name. So if you click into this, you'll see our product picker. So by default, all of your products are going to be selected in this left table, but you can, for example, filter this by specific categories. So if I just want to count my cases or maybe just my glasses, let's say, I'll move all of my items in my glasses category to the selected products and click on select. And inFlow is going to add them to the count sheet. You can also add your products by location or by sublocation. So if you're counting just a specific sublocation in your warehouse, you can add all of the products that are supposed to be in that location to the count sheet. But once you've added the items to the count sheet, you can save it. And then the next step is to actually start counting. So you'll click on start counting. And this is the big step here, because once you start counting, you need to finish this count sheet before you do any further inventory movement or transactions. And you're going to get a warning here. So it says, please stop all inventory movements during the count. So you should follow this because otherwise your inventory counts will be off. So once you click on OK, what inFlow does is generates your system quantity. So this is what's currently in inFlow, and this is what you're expected to count. And at this point, you can go ahead and print out the count sheet. So you can go ahead and print it out. It'll give you a hard copy that your whoever's counting can take with them, and using a pen or pencil can jot down what's been counted. So in the counted quantity column here. Once you're done counting, you're going to come back to this count sheet and fill in the counted quantity column with the actual counted quantity. And once you've done that, you're going to click on complete and adjust, and inFlow will adjust your quantities to what's been counted. So pretty straightforward, but also very important to follow the rules to stop all inventory movement during the count. Right now, the count sheets are only available on the Windows app, but it is in the pipeline to have them eventually come to at least mobile, I think, I'm hoping. Of course, anytime we say a feature might be released or is in development or is in design, that can always change. But right now it is on the roadmap. If you, I guess, don't have access to the Windows app, can we do? So if you don't have access to the Windows app,
could do like a report at that point, I think, to show like if you did like the historical inventory, and then picked like your today's date, that would show you at least a list of all your products and the quantities that are supposed to be in stock on that specific date or time kind of thing. And then again, you could just go through, but the count sheet just makes it easier because then you don't have to go in and do like individual adjustments. It would do it all for you kind of all at once. So Cornelia, so hopefully we are hoping that this year, I do know they are talking about bringing those features over. So we're hoping, fingers crossed, this year. It could be the first quarter. I'm not sure. I don't know. We don't get specific timelines, unfortunately, on when they're working on it, but it is on their to-do list for like kind of the more urgent things to get that done right away.
Of course, if there is a feature that you really want in inFlow, you have to let us know, because we record them and we obviously prioritize based on the demand. So the more we hear about it, the more it gets traction. So please reach out to us. You can just start a chat just to tell us about a feature. You can go onto our Facebook community group and post there. The more we hear about it, the more we sort of understand that it's important for users. But if you don't have, like Phil mentioned, if you don't have access to the Windows app, you can run one of our inventory reports to get your current quantity your quantity on hand. This was not the report, but basically there are reports available, and you can print them out. So you've got a physical copy, and then you can do stock adjustments off of the mobile phone. But using the add stock or the remove stock, for example, it's a bit more, I guess, involved than using a count sheet. But if you are looking for count sheets on mobile, let us know. We're going to write that down, and it'll give that a bit more traction as well.
Cool. So we do still have quite a few questions, so we'll try and, I guess, go through these ones a little bit faster because I know we're running out of time. But Jim had asked, when using serial numbers, can the remarks section in the extra info be used for specific serial numbers, or will it be for all? Which is a great question, but basically any of that extra info is for the product itself, not the individual serial numbers. So right now, basically the only thing that's kind of stored individually per serial is the actual serial number itself. Everything else is just considered to be that product as a whole.
This is product level information.
Yep.
Good question. Okay, so how can, I guess Chris has the next question?
Yep.
How can I run a master report on items that need to be ordered? That's a good question. We have so if you set up your reorder points and your reorder settings, you can, and if you haven't and you're interested in setting up reorder points and actually get email notifications that you need to reorder more stock, check out our knowledge base on the reordering feature. But we do have a dedicated report, and I'm just showing this off of the Windows app, but you can also access it off the web app. And it'll just be in your inventory reports. And we've got the stock reordering report. So if we click into this here, you'll have some options here. So you can show only the products that need to be reordered. So that means that products that have fallen below the reorder point. So you can run this report here. What you can also do, and you sort of saw that from the web app as I was showing there, you can run the inventory summary report. And this one here, so the inventory summary report, that first one in the inventory reports, it gives you things like quantity on hand, quantity owned, reserved. I guess the more importantly one here, the quantity available. So your different quantities of that specific product, and it can give you an idea of the items that you're running low on. So for example, your quantity available is what you have on hand. So what you physically have available minus any products that are on open sales orders or work orders if you're manufacturing. So it's if you were to fulfill all of your open sales orders and work orders, what would you have available for other customers? So that could be a good quantity to go by. But what you also want to keep in mind is your quantity on order. So this is what you've already put a purchase order for that product to your vendors. So you're already expecting to get some products in. But this is a great report because it gives you all of these quantities. And what you can also do, what's great about these reports is that you can sort them by, for example, your quantity available. You can sort by that, so you can see what products you're running low on, for example. So that helps answer that question.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. So the next one was from Shanna. I'm currently running into an issue of duplicate serial numbers due to the use of capital and lowercase letters being used by the manufacturer. Is there a way to make inFlow differentiate between uppercase and lowercase? Which unfortunately there is not. We can definitely submit this as like a feature request again. It's not something that I guess that has been I guess, looked into or taken into account before. So yeah, so we can definitely send that to our team.
And okay, and I do see Chris, just as a quick aside, I do see that going back to Dan's question about doing an inventory count, Chris recommended using the inventory count sheet report or the count sheet report. I'm not sure if that one will actually do it. Never mind. Sorry. Back to questions.
I think the next one was from Sydney. I want to know if there would be a way to adjust product quantity on a line list and not have to open each product one by one. If you have access to, I guess, either the mobile app or the Windows app, you can do just what we call a stock adjustment. So that's under like the inventory menu where you can actually pull up, adjust stock. It's listed in here as basically you can create based off of each location. So it is per location. You do have to keep that in mind, but you can add, just like we were showing kind of with the count sheets before, any products either by that location or by just like any specific product like name or anything like that you want. So you could add multiple products in here. And here basically you see the new quantity and old quantity in here, so you can actually adjust either up or lower, and you'll see the difference on here. So if you, yeah, there you go. So you should change it to 100. It used to be 40, so that's an extra 60. If you actually then go and complete this, this is actually going to create an adjustment for each item that's on there all at once, rather than going to the specific products themselves and doing it individually. The only thing that I would, I guess, warn and with any kind of adjustment this way is that it doesn't necessarily always going to reflect your most accurate cost this way, because costs are usually, depending which costing method you're using, will be affected more with like purchase orders and sales orders. So those kinds of things will make sure that you're keeping your I guess like cost values and everything correct. But if you did need to do a quick and easy way, you definitely do it that way.
Mm. And it is a great feature request, though. I can see the benefit of, especially in the web app. Let's say you're here and you can just click into this quantity field and quickly update it. So great feature request. We'll take that down. Okay, and we've got.
Yeah, Chris had asked. Yep. When running reports, is there a feature to hide all zero balance products? When I run reports, I often have to deactivate products, run a report, then reactivate them to avoid zero quantities. But if I leave zero balance products deactivated, they won't show up in previous sales report.
Ooh, good question. There are some reports that allow you to not include zero product at zero quantity.
I think there's only maybe like one, maybe two reports that do that. I think it's, what is it, summary?
I think it's by location, but so it's got this one here. Let's give it a try. Let's see. So this is the inventory by location report. So this might not work because you'd have to run it per location. So if you're keeping track of multiple locations, you'll have to run a separate report for each one of those locations. That allows you to check this block off. Or is there another one?
No, it should show all locations. If you don't select a location, it should still show all of them.
Oh, great. Okay, never mind. So yeah, we can group it by, but all right. So let's go ahead and check out the columns. I guess what the problem here is that this report only shows 4 columns. So if you were hoping to export anything other than product, category, location, or quantity, you're a bit out of luck here. But as I think with the theme of reports so far, as we answer questions, is if inFlow's, let's say, generating too much data or including things that you don't want to be included in, and there's no way to do it within inFlow, you can export the report into Excel and just delete any items that have quantity 0, for example, in Excel. and go from there. But of course, you should be saving this in CSV file type, because I think a lot of users get dissuaded when they export the report in an incorrect format and it looks very overwhelming. But like just the Excel formats, XLS, it's going to be a bit disheartening to see that. But yeah, it looks like this is one of the only reports, if I'm not mistaken, because I do remember us not having very many reports that don't include zero quantities. But what I would say is if it becomes enough hard enough to, or if it bothers you enough, reach out to us over support and let us know so we can actually record your feature request there as well.
So Vimal had the next one. He wasn't sure if he had missed adding vendor product in QuickBooks Online and transactions for the same in inFlow. What will happen when we do accounting integration? I'm not sure if I understand exactly what you're asking here, Vimal. I mean, everything should essentially happen automatically, I guess, once you do the accounting integration. One of the, I guess, important things to keep in mind with all of our integrations, once you connect it, it does not historically go back and do like all of your previous transactions or anything like that. So if you have already been running your business for a year or something like that, you connect QuickBooks. It's not going to do your previous year of stuff. It's going to just start working from the day that you set that integration. So any like new orders and things like that, it'll get pushed over. And then in that same sense, with all your inventory, your products and stuff like that, it's not going to retroactively go through and just add all of your products right away. Once like an order comes through with that product on there, it'll then look for it in QuickBooks. If it doesn't find it, it'll create it and kind of as it's going like that. So I guess just something like that to keep in mind. Hopefully that helps. If not, definitely let us know in the chat and we can try and give more information.
Okay,
Peter was the next one.
Yeah, we've got from Peter, for the Windows search feature, you guys have one of the best to find products, but I have to click on it to use it. Can it be automatically defaulted to replace the add new item box that comes up?
So I think this might be kind of going back to what we had talked about near the beginning, where you have kind of those different options while you're searching. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Peter, but yeah, so like if you're typing in something that's part of like the description or something like that, by default, it's just going to be searching in the product name spot, which would then give you the add new product because it's obviously not finding one. The only thing that I don't know if Dani can show this, if any of your products have like descriptions and stuff in it. There is kind of a little weird, I'd almost say like quirk that the search can actually do in a sales order. So actually, sorry, yeah, you need to go into a sales order if stuff does have any. Yeah, they seem to.
And there we go.
So if you just click on, like, you're going to add a product to a sales order. So if you look at the actual like little window that's opened, we can see right beside product, there's a little arrow pointing up. So this is the way it's actually sorting your list right now. If you actually click on like description, it'll then put that arrow beside there and it's now sorting by that. While you're doing that, it will prioritize like the description over the product name. So if you started typing in something like from one of your descriptions there, it will actually kind of be searching that way. Not in the product name spot. Yeah, like that.
Oh,
I think it'll work out the same way.
Yeah.
But
okay, let's give that a shot.
I think.
Oh, do you mean? Oh, sorry. If I did Scout, for example. Well, no, that's not a good one. So as in, I see. So if you're searching, it will it's still ordering by description.
Yeah.
Is that what?
I think like if you try, can you try typing in just like sunglasses? I'm just curious if it. Oh, no, okay. Maybe it doesn't work the way that I thought it was going to. Yeah, the best way then would be opening up the advanced search or the show search option. Again, this hasn't changed in the web app though. So the web app, you just type in the anything in there and it'll search across all those fields. So product description, SKU, barcode, category. I think that's all the main ones that it searches. But yeah, so that is something that the mobile app and the web app both do. Yeah, in the Windows app, it is a little more limited because it's an older technology.
Good question. And then we've got one from Taylor. So what is the best cost method to use in order to show fluctuating inventory costs, a historical inventory report? So the cost method, so costing method in inFlow is going to determine how inFlow calculates the cost of your products and also, or more importantly, how it calculates your profit on sales reports, for example. So depending on what costing method you have selected, so there are 4 costing methods, and if you're wondering about costing methods and wanting to learn more about those, we have a knowledge base article on it. But there are 4 costing methods available. So there's moving average, first in, first out, last in, first out, and then manual. So when you create a purchase order for your vendor in inFlow, inFlow can remember the cost of the products that your vendors charged you and continuously update the cost of your products as you purchase them from your vendor. So by default, whenever you create a brand new inFlow account or database, your costing method is set to moving average. So what that means is inFlow will take a moving average or an average cost of your products over time. As you continue to purchase them through purchase orders, inFlow will take an average cost. So especially if your product costs change or your vendors charge you different costs over time, what inFlow will do is calculate an average cost. And that will probably be the better way to do it if you're going to be running historic reports for cost. There is first in, first out, and last in, first out. So in this case, rather than calculate a moving average for your product, inFlow is actually going to be remembering costing layers. So for example, if we take first in, first out, it means your whatever items you purchase from your vendors first, inFlow is going to sell them first. And a quick note here is that it's not an inventory or a stock first in, first out. It's more about a financial or a cost calculation that inFlow does. So in other words, let's say you purchase 10 of item A at $10 from your vendor, and then a week later you buy another 10 of item A from your vendor, but this time at $20. So what inFlow is going to remember is that the first 10 were purchased at $10 and the second 10 group of 10 were purchased at $20. And since you've got first in, first out set up, inFlow is going to sell the ones that were costed at $10 first. And until you sell all of those 10 at $10, then inFlow is going to move on to the next 10 at $20 and sell those. And so I think if you're running historical reports, and actually I'm not 100% on this, but if you are running a historical inventory report, maybe Phil, I don't know if inFlow calculates an average cost, even if you do have first in, first out, or last in, first out. Is that what it is? It does an average? Okay, so I guess it doesn't matter in this case, but it's more important for you how you want to calculate profit, because at the end of the day, your profit is going to be the same, but what shows up on a report will be different depending on the costing method you're using. So I think it will more depend. And of course, we're not accountants, so I'd say whenever in doubt, best to ask what your accountant wants or what they suggest, or what's more appropriate for your industry, because each industry has different requirements. But hopefully, just by understanding how the costing methods work, that gives you a better idea of which one to choose. But I would say you can check out our costing method guide for more information, but I think, yeah, when it comes to running historical reports, inFlow is going to give you an average cost. So in both methods, it sounds like, so it wouldn't really matter.
Cool. Next one we had just a couple left. Jeremy had said, is there plans for more advanced reporting in the web app? Currently looking to use the API to export to a separate dashboard app to get better business information. So I do know that there are plans and talk of changing kind of the way that the reports work and hopefully adding kind of more flexibility and stuff with it. To be completely honest and transparent with you, I'm pretty sure it's still quite a ways away because it's not even in like a planning phase yet. And I know, again, as I've said kind of a couple times this year, they're really pushing to get all those missing features from the web app built into there. So I have a feeling that kind of stuff will happen first before the reports kind of get a revamp. So while, yes, I do think it will change in the future, that probably will still be a little while for that. So, so yeah, if you're definitely using the API or anything like that, for sure, that's exactly why we have that available now. Take that information out of inFlow and then use it however you want, and hopefully can give you some more information that way that you need.
Next question here from Rochelle. When exporting stock levels, can it also include the barcode instead of just the product name, location, and quantity? So currently, no. The straight export from the export menu. So if you go to the main menu, general export data, and export your stock levels from here, unfortunately, this can't be changed. So you can't add or remove columns that get exported, but there might be. Let's see if the current stock screen gives us barcode.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Oh, excellent. Okay, so yes, so pro tip for inFlow, this is only right now applicable to the Windows desktop app. Unfortunately, you can't do this from the web app yet, but any table that you see in inFlow, you can generally right-click on the column header. So you're going to right-click, and you're going to get some options. One of those is to export the contents of that table to a spreadsheet. So if the export, the quantity export, sorry, the stock levels export doesn't give you what you want, what you can do is come to the current stock screen. So that's the main menu, inventory, current stock. And it's going to give you a list of all of your products and their quantities and the location that they're in, and then some other information like category, last vendor, but also barcode. And in this case, what you're going to do is right-click, export contents to CSV, and then you're just going to get a table that looks exactly like this in a spreadsheet file. What's really nice about this method is that you can also filter this table. So if you wanted to see just a specific category, you can filter it and then right-click, export, and inFlow will only export what's been filtered.
Exactly. And if you're wondering, when she's right-clicking there and you see all the columns with the little check marks, that is actually, you can filter what you're seeing there, kind of thing. So you can remove things if you don't want them, and this should stay that way when you come back to this screen later on too. So you can, if you don't need to know last vendor or something, you can take that out.
And you can resize these as well, just for visual purposes.
Yep.
Okay.
Cool. I think we're on the last couple. Basarath had said, is there a way to print inventory on hand with pictures? So I think kind of yes and kind of no, probably not the way that you may be wanting, but with the web app now, the reports do actually show a tiny little thumbnail of the picture that you have, kind of thing. So any of the reports essentially that do have the product information on there, I believe would include that little picture. But again, it is going to be a very small little thumbnail, so I'm not sure if that's exactly what you were hoping for. And then if it doesn't have one, it'll just do that kind of like she has for Soda, our default image kind of thing. So while it does show on there, unfortunately, I don't know how usable they are at that size, kind of thing. So yes and no.
You can save this. Okay. All right. So hopefully we got through all of the questions. If we missed, or no, did we miss anything?
I think just the last thing Steve had said, adding a multi-select option for adding items to a sales order and purchase order would be awesome. So again, kind of just more of a feature request, not a question, but I've got it written down here. So I'll definitely make sure to submit that as well. So thank you for that feedback, Steve. We do appreciate it.
Cool. So if we missed any of your questions, 'cause we had a lot of them today, reach out to us over live chat. And we love them. We love them. We were so worried we wouldn't get any questions. We actually had some material for you in case we needed to fill in time. But
you all proved us wrong, so we're happy about that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And actually, I guess if you guys found this useful as well too, because again, normally we have kind of a more structured with like slides and like a one main topic kind of thing. If you found the Q&A kind of more helpful, or if you'd like to see this every once in a while, again, it wouldn't be like a monthly thing, but maybe every few months or something like that. Either put something in the chat here, or again, send us a message or leave a comment on Facebook or something like that, and we'll kind of take that into to consideration too. Because I know having somebody to talk to and kind of bounce these ideas off might be helpful, maybe not. I don't know. So let us know, and you can help us plan these in the future.
Yes, and thank you, Chris, and thank you everyone who's joined us. We're glad this was helpful, and hopefully you guys will join us for our next webinar, which I will mention is going to be on February 8th. 8th. Did I have that right? 8th, yep. And it's going to be on Showroom Pro, and we've got Eliano who's going to be doing that one. So if you're interested in learning more about our showroom feature, it's going to be an interesting and informative webinar. Usually we'll send out an email just to ask you to register. But you can also reach out to us if you have any questions or you want a link. More information, we'll be happy to help.
Again, in case anyone needs it, we do have like on our website, inFlow inventory /webinar series. That's where you can kind of go back and you can see any of our past webinars and stuff like that. I know we've sent a bunch of links throughout here, but this one should be recorded and uploaded within the next probably a day or two. I'm not sure if they have to edit it much or anything like that. So, so if you do need to watch it again or anything, then hopefully it should be added up there as well too.
Yes.
Cool. All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you again, and hopefully everyone has a fantastic rest of their day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.